Okay.
I sang it to someone on the center the other day, and they says, "Oh, that's so amazing." I says, they said, "You sang it so amazing." I says, "No, it has a charge. It has a charge."
Well, since I started the recording, people will wonder what the song is, so let's sing it one more time. This is we're starting today, we're doing the last published article, and then we're restarting the first 4 published mystical life messages. They were all, and then 10 unpublished mystical life articles, total of 14, that were written in June of 1940 in Ranchi during a torrential rains, one a day, I guess, but a 14-day stay with Baba and Mus, and quite an experience. And these mystical life messages are quite something. And this phrase we took from Mystical Life 12, one of the unpublished ones, and put it to music. So, Rosalie?
It is all very simple.
It
It's all very real. It is all to be in you and in me, in one all act of joy when I in you realize in you, one in I have me. See this, and in this be happy. See this, and in this be real and good to others.
Oh, did I? Yes, that is recorded. Very good. Okay, so today I need to share here.
It all happened during the blue bus time.
Mm-hmm. So the first one we're doing today is called, I wonder if I can get rid of that. The significance of Mayor Baba's silence. So this was written when she was in America in 1942. The silence of such a human being is an ordinary external fact with deep significance. His silence is not the sensation of his tone or voice and thought for his own salvation, or to help himself to higher attainment in spiritual evolution, but to maintain under order of himself, the God-man, his own power. His order to himself to maintain the power unrevealed, unreacted in us is to save our own fall or rise from happening out of time. We have to be prepared before we can be the new human being. We have to be surely good enough or bad enough to be discriminated and available for this great resurrection in our own spiritual nature. We must be sure to be well balanced in head and heart before we can be more developed in the other side of our own self. Our self is meant to be our own spirit existence. We have to learn before we are given this pure experience that we have to be spirit existence with less egocentric mental experience. We must be free of this ego in all ways of life, in evolution, in self-realization. And for this, his silence is the self-imposed order of him. It is superhuman sacrifice, incomprehensible to us. As we have no means of understanding such a sacrifice. He is speaking to us through our own heads in the way one speaks naturally and childlike as we are by the means of an alphabet board. It is simple talk from human being to human being. When we think that we are here to evolve and to learn something of greater value in order to become greater use to our fellow man, we must make up our minds and say, first of all, what is it that we need? What do we need really and truly to become one with the divine substance? I believe that this world is a school in which we learn to grow, and how to advance is the same thing, and how to realize is also the same thing, and how to emancipate from our lower nature and evolve our divine light form is also the same thing. Nothing is a separate quest. There is no separate expiation. We have to earn our God conscious state at the end of this life's term of evolution as human creature.
I am not ambitious to give you the whole ideological theme of what is our self-realization, but it is a very simple fact that is nothing more and nothing less than the emancipation from lower state of conscious existence to highest state of conscious existence. When the avatar or the Christ incarnate comes to life, then men in general feel it and strive deeper. And so I believe that this Western hemisphere gives one the impression of this deep need to emancipate. The electron, the atom, all these phases of this substance metamorphosis are very well studied and researched by our modern science. But what has that to do with our spiritual elevation of the conscious existence as the Christ form, which is in us the latent existence of God as consciousness? We live in an age where the old symbolism has no real interest, excuse me, has no real interest nor attraction to us. We like to be self-efficient and do things ourselves. Therefore, we usually think when we are very emancipated that we are very educated, evolved, and spiritually advanced. But believe it or not, our progression of the intellect is not the highest form of emancipation that our racial type now needs. We have to earn a far deeper understanding of the real value of life and of all that which is inherent in our own nature. The small intuitive capacity of this emancipated intellect is not yet the highest intuition which we have to develop to be able to bring to fulfillment our capacity to live with pure understanding of that which is God inherent in us. Our life is small in proportion to that of the God-fulfilled human being. We are not capable yet to make ourselves be examples to others. We are not yet capable to have the pure perception of our own spiritual intuition. So for this reason, the universal plan of human evolution has created the divine example that it may give the right proportion of that which we have to become. It is a simple man. Simplicity is mastery in servitude, the natural outlook on facts and things that we have created with our self-imposing, theologically imaginative intellect is now coming to deep knowing, which means higher intuition. As we are children on the path, we have to grow up to godhood, which is the highest status of pure existence as simple human being. The simplicity of which I here speak is not the simplicity of the intellectual mind, but it is the simplicity of the intuitive, wise, spiritual nature that expresses itself through the heart. All else is immature speculation. All else is speculative imagination of the scientifically inclined erudite of today. Science will not detect the God in us. Only man himself has to be shown how to reveal to himself his own divine nature. He has to come to conscious knowing, spiritual intuition, that he could be more than he is now in his present racial species state of consciousness. If he were less individualistically inclined and more efficient in his spiritual nature, I do not claim from anyone in this world to significance. Wait. I do not claim from anyone in this world to believe that God is man unless it is really understood in its mystical significance. No other significance could create belief in something which one cannot really understand intellectually. The fact that God is man manifestation makes many people wild and disputing. When we say to each other, I am God in myself, what do we claim to be? Do we think that it is so ultimately necessary to become one with all and everything? I think it is because it means to understand all and everything. I think it is ultimately necessary to be the divine conscious substance, wisdom. This means heart and head in unison. I have had this experience of being separated from the head in one of my great spiritual moments of deeper realization. It seemed impossible that I could live without a head. But as this realizing head is nothing but an imaginary state of unrealized spiritual consciousness, I came in that same moment in which I had lost consciousness of my head to understand that I had the inherent science knowing state of higher consciousness, which was utterly sufficient to make me feel the alive thing. Now, to be more explicit, when I realized that this divine conscious thing can also have an emotion, an inspiration, and spiritual need to evolve higher, I came to understand that this was literally the need in man, which is of primary importance. When I need to love God more than myself, I am never sad. It is gravitating existence. In some pure space or consciousness, which is in itself duality in infinity. It is a marvelous existence. I wish you all have that ambition for that great need to awake within the infinite state of your own soul substance. Whatever will happen beyond is no more needed. That is the great mystery of which we all are no more curious to know what it is and where it begins or ends. Nothing is ending in this infinity of longing for truth realization. It is the permeated state of light immutable, unchangeable, that we definitely need to comprehend and experience with our own finite existence as human beings. In that state, man is free from the bindings of all that which is his evolution as its dual nature. In this state of union of head and heart, man has the conscious capital of wisdom at hand. He can then dictate to all the ignorant men of the world to be less ignorant. He can then demonstrate to all people what it is to be selfless. He is unchangeable in his character. He is reliable as a human being. Men do not need to follow him like sheep, but they need to look at him because he is so pure and real, so kind and humble. Humility of the God-realized man is to us incomprehensible. He has no need for a career, and he has no desire or wants. His natural position in the universe is to be the center of attraction that has to pull back to the center, which is the divine source, every one of us. This all means labor, vital interest to bring to higher, powerful, selfless contribution to the whole of mankind. This is the springtide of evolution when its life converges toward the sun rays which come closer to Earth. If nature were not the manifestation of truth, what would it mean as fact with its action and reaction, with its doing and undoing, with its beautiful literature, music, art, science, sociological research, psychological research, and even the political game with its vulgar machinations of selfish ends? All this would have no meaning if there were not an end to it. The whole world knows that and wishes it to become the end, and within it, some real permeated situation in which everyone can be solidly, surely, tranquilly himself. We shall have that after this war, when Meher Baba, this great life-giving being, whose name I mention with devotion, reverence, and love, shall have uttered the word of truth then all these differences of life will automatically come to better balance of understanding.
Nothing is more useful than to sit tight with one's own selfless state of literally taken, indivisible existence. And that is the heart as the center within our own structure of that which is pure or manifestation of our divine light form. When we believe that everything is a great unison of action within the multifarious scheme of life, we must understand that it is nothing more or less than oneness existence. The pure emotion of which we are able, as we are able of very little yet, is to love God more than ourselves. This is not to be created through imagination. It is God's own help which manifests when we come to the stage of non-reaction within the human form. This includes sex and the emotive heart as the affection for ourselves and that which we choose to express our emotion. When this is all overturned into purer love, that is, love for God or the highest manifestation of truth, then we shall earn the light state of life immutable. It is grace from the highest substance existence to the intermediary of this substance existence as the God-man, who transmits it to man. To all those who are on the path of spiritual emancipation, the dream of this fulfilled state of higher existence. The God-man is here to deliver this message, which has to take form in us. When it shall have taken form in us, then the divine verb shall have become flesh of us, the aspirant for truth. To realize God means to have the divine verb become flesh in us. This is the manifestation of the highest, purest possibility in this cycle of evolution. And it has to be the response of our deepest need. Meher Baba is the pure verb to manifest in us soon. Jai Baba. You want to start?
This next one, it says about them, these variations of the theme of self-realization were intuitively made known to me, it's Norina Matchebelli, by Meher Baba during the month.
Could you please put it up on the screen for us?
Oh, you don't
Oh, I
see it?
thought it was.
We don't see it. I don't see it.
Let's try
Yeah,
again.
we only see it. Did you not see the other one?
Do you see
I
this?
saw the first one, yes.
Do
Okay.
you see it now?
Mystical Life, footnote to all 14.
Yeah.
I put the footnote at the beginning. That's all.
Right. Anyway, I'll read the footnote again. These variations of the theme of self-realization were intuitively made known to me by Meher Baba during the month of July 1940. Mystical Life by Princess Norina Matchebelli. Meher Baba explains that this series of articles has been dictated by direct communication and intuition. It is for reason of saving time and for more executive reaction that he avoids to use the normal external way of transmission through the intellect, and thus the alphabetic board, while he is still maintaining silence. The mental act to hear in intuition is pure and real selfless service when it is use of him direct. These articles are the philosophy of self in realization reaction, which men shall have to experience to be able to make the use of it for which they are meant. The direct use of his in intuition is to use in the disciple who is understanding the self and the reader of the articles, all that which he, the I impersonal in I, owes to do in rhythm, in reaction. It is to make use of the realizing expression impersonal, which he is in all and every human creature. To read his mystical language is to realize in reading as knowing and as feeling what he impersonal does experience in all human creatures. What he means by one in I is the realized show of the whole in the small I as the pure portion. This explanation is to help in reading. What he wins in us is to show us, the disciples, the way to God. What he wins in you, the readers of the mystical order to experience, is to see more, to know more, how he in you shows the way to one in I, the pure one in I, that in you is the inherent, realized, unself-conscious God as you, the portion. This means in all to grow and to come near to one in I, near to him as the manifesting God in self-existence. See this, and in this way read the mystical experience in you and in the way he here expresses it. Find the use to realize in you him, the dictation in intuition. Whether he realizes within, in mind, in being, or outward in mind, in intellect, is one way to use you as the disciple, to know, to feel him, be the dictating order impersonal. So says Meher Baba. God has to be man. The mystical language is show in experience in the realm of I indivisible as mind in being. This is all what is necessary to say to those interested to read these mystical articles. The mystical language is self-realization in mind, in self, in experience. It is mind in the realm of I as mind in being, that in I, in the dual individual, is subjective experience. This language is to be showing in I, in mind, that in I, in mind, one in I is the continuation of I as mind that is individual in self-experience. The subjective I is individual in self-expression. The individual in use of the intuition is impersonal in use of the self-expression. This is the difference of I in self-expression, in I as spiritual order in experience. This is a way to say to mind in intellect, to leave in intellect the individual experience and to know in I, in the individual order in experience, all subjective reaction. To leave in I, in mind, in self, in I, as mind, in spirit, realization, reaction, the subjective experience is to know more. To know is all that we have to earn. To be able to realize the subjective realization of I as human being, as God. We have to earn, to know, to see, to feel God in us as subjective experience. This is the religion of God impersonal, in I impersonal, for use in I individual. It is God in use in us that we have to see, to know, to feel. This small form to experience in I, the divine theme, is to show in I, in use of every day, the dual order to find in I, the one, the I, the God. Whatever is to be done in I is small in comparison to what in I is doing. The conscious order to experience the truth is very small in I subjective. It is very small in I impersonal. It is very imperative and huge in I, in one in I, when the God is the wonder work in self-realization. I have seen in me the God arise and speak and order when it was for me the day to awake. He then was impersonal and imperative in me in experience as subjective I. I then was a student of truth who has to self-realize in I the truth. I had to follow the divine theme as the truth in me was order to awake. I had to see first in I impersonal the truth be the impersonal before I was true and real in me to know, to feel in I as me, the individual, the pure, the true, the real God as pure human creature. To say this here is to make it clear to those who in I impersonal know the God to be in them the truth manifesting order, to be in them the God. We as disciples in mind, in I, as truth aspirants of God, know in us is Meher Baba, the God who is impersonal and personal manifestation. We in his own presence know in us as mind, as self, as human creature, that he is one in use in all. We see him in use in everyone who is sincere seeker of truth. Be the divine theme in realization order, to show in us the realized order. We in him react in us free of the one in I, free of us, the human self in search for truth, free in mind in I as being in realization reaction for use of the I as mind, as individual experience. We here self-realize in us the truth, order, direct in use in us. This is the difference of the motive in I impersonal and the motive in I personal. This, what I here say, is dictated in me in I impersonal and in I individual as imperative order to say, what is the self-realization in I as use of him, the truth, order, impersonal, in use in all.
The Master's direct words make it still more effective. He states, no one has to see, to know, to feel the truth until he is certain in him as mind and I, as human creature, that God in him is conscious in I as individual experience. I here say this to all who in I owe to fear the personal God and show in them in I impersonal the realization reacting order to grow in and out in them without the Master. No one is able to know in I and mind, in one in I, God, without the God showing in I the way to God. This is fact, and I shall in I, in mind, in men, show the fact when I am in mind, in men, in use in I impersonal, the I impersonal. When I in mind in men am use personal, I am in mind in all, God as one all I, in use for one and I, to make in mind in use in I, the pure resurrection of I. God is God as human I, when in I, the human order has to be in every individual to be God. It is in every day that I, in use in mind in intellect, and in I in mind in being, the show of self-realization, that in you is conscious. The pure feeling of truth is to live in full, in all, in harmony, in experience of one all I life, and that is love in God. See this, O you, my disciple, who is indivisible in mind, in longing to unite, in I, in me. See this, O I in mind, in self, in realization, ardor, in mind, impersonal. See this, O you who is individual in self-sacrifice, in pain, in I, in mind, in pain, in I, in self, in pain, in I, impersonal. I here am the I, that in I of mind individual has to realize the truth. Creation is God in making of the I. Creation is truth in making of truth as being that is conscious of truth. This is the theme that we have to evolve in us as human creature. This is the mystical experience in us. This is the mystical experience in use in us as self-realization. God is truth in manifested realization reaction, all in our own I, as God in realization reaction. God is use in us of Him, the I that is realizing. Mayor Baba furthermore states, here I say it is, as it is the way I have been showing in you before you have met me in person. You have been in search of God in you in I impersonal, and in the I impersonal, you have in you found in I, the I impersonal. I saw in you the fact when I have met you in the new world in the West. I have then drawn you close to me to lift in you the one in I as the impersonal one in I, as the being, to show you on to me. I took you out of I as the dual I, in many ways of I, to make you realize in you me. I took you in I, in one in I, to show in I in you the one in I as me. I have done in I in you in me the show of I in one in I in me as being that is conscious of I for use of Him the God in you impersonal. And now here as I, as one, as self in the God intuition state as me, the God conscious I in you.
It is all very simple. It is all very real. It is all to be in you and in me, in one all act of joy, when I in you realize in you, one in I as me. See this, and in this be happy. See this, and in this be real and good to others. I love that.
So, Jonathan and Rosalie, how many times have you read the readings of Norina?
I have no idea. We started in the eve of Amratithi, right? Or Baba's birthday, the eve of Baba's birthday in 2019.
We started at a
Once a
Monday
week.
night meeting there.
And
Yeah.
that was through
Scott
Scott
was-
and the Kegs meeting, which continues and is on Monday nights at 7. If you don't have the link, let me know. I'll send you the link because it's on his personal link, not
But
on
I'll
his.
tell you this thing, when it's reread, and if I remember a line from, or I am thrilled. I mean, I'm really thrilled, you know. It almost feels like, oh yeah, that's right, you know. It's amazing. It's vibrational. I mean, I'm just
Yeah, that's the important, we keep saying it's important when you're on to read it aloud.
Yeah.
Because when you read it to yourself, that's the way we normally read engaging the mind. But when you speak it out, then you
Yeah.
get that resonance, that vibration. And it's easier just to go with the flow of it and not get locked up in understanding.
This is, yeah.
But that
What's the song? It's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be true.
it is
That's
good.
similar to the song, but different that you
Tis
were
a
singing.
gift. Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be free. Tis
Yeah.
a gift to come down where you ought to.
No, this is from the.
That's a
Yeah,
shaker.
different. Yeah, but it's cute because it's similar.
Well, it's similar, but I tell you, it has a charge.
Yeah, this
But
is
Baba says,
the new Quaker Oats.
I here act in mind, in vibration, to make in you life grow. Because I shared this one with someone on the center the other day, and it says, "Oh, you did it so well." I says, "No," I says, "it's vibrational." I mean, you know,
To explain that, she had shared that over the phone with someone else, and it had a tremendous impact.
Oh,
And
this
they
is
attributed it to
vibrational.
Rosalie. They attributed it to Rosalie.
They
She
said,
said,
"Oh, it's the way you did it." I says, "No," I says, "I'm sorry. It's vibrational. It's yeah. Apparently, this person that listened to it was really in a bad point, and who was able to release. He was caretaking his wife. You know that.
Oh yeah,
Just drive you down. You know,
yeah,
caretaking
yeah.
someone. Wow. And it was the first time he could release it, you know. I was just passing out the calendars on the center to the cabins, that every cabin, you never have to go to the meeting place. You never have to go to the kitchens. If you have your kitchen, you just could just be there with Baba and do whatever you do. You know, I love that
Right.
about the center. You know, it's an educational place, but you know, it's like home. It has that home feeling. It's like,
experience.
I don't have to go to a meeting, you know. And I remember when I lived right off a center on Southgate Drive, and I didn't feel Baba, and I was mad. You know, I was literally mad. I was right outside where the Ots Gate is, you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I says, okay, Baba. I says, here I am. I says, I don't have to be, my center's in the heart. You told me. You have to take him at his word. Yeah.
The significance I bring to, I always, the context of these messages, happening during World War II, kind of the chief work Baba was doing at that time. And this transition so unique to this particular Advent and age of a transition from the age of reason to the age of intuition. And then that's setting up the conditions for the life messages where he empowers individuals to make their own choices. These several situations that kind of build towards the end of his life really, to me, sets the stage for these messages. Not at first, when Baba was still in the body from 52 to 69, or when the Mandali were still here, but now they come into their own because he's given the direction to empowering us to make our own choices, and then he's doing it anyway. I mean, these mystical life messengers are just a tremendous aid to speed up. We feel
track.
that's what we feel.
Fast track.
But he's doing it anyway. The awakening of the intuition.
Yeah.
I really feel the pandemic was key on that. The whole world was forced to go inward because they couldn't look to their normal amusements or distractions or so on and so forth.
And if you couldn't get
Semi-related, but a little different, is Mayermount this year, given it's the 100th anniversary of the Silence Day, put together a little ebook on silence. And, there's lots of interesting things there, and you've seen many of them. One of them was a 30-day silence at Mayermount in 1946, which must have been just after the property was acquired. And there were like 10 people there. And it's interesting, Marguerite Poli,
Margaret Krask was there, wasn't she?
Margaret Krask, and then a couple of friends from Los Altos, and a couple other, anyway, listed. But that was an event in a moment in time, but it's also something more than that, is a seed planted in a place that picks up something that makes it not just a place, but both a spirit and a place of pilgrimage.
Mm.
And to me, Mayor Mount is both a place and a spirit. It's the spirit of Mayor Baba, but it's the spirit of Agnes, and then all of those people somehow, the echo of them, of the experience. Like I looked at the sign-in book in Baba's cabin in Myrtle Beach, and it was like an echo from 1952, just sort of happening there. But anyway, all these things
that I
are
just
multifaceted.
Oh, that was in 46. Yeah, that's interesting that 30-day, because he later did a 30-day one in 49 in preparation in the end of June in 49, preparation for the new life. But that would. Yeah, it's.
I got a short sentence on this. Sentence grabs me. This one was 4 of these mystical life were already in print in the Mayor Baba journals. And it was like 14 of them came through in Ranchi, India. So Scott McKay did a little detective work, and he found 10 more in Adi Kairani's file. And I remember Adi Kairani said that Baba had told him that as Avatar, he had brought us from sensation to reason. This time, he's bringing us from reason, and I will, a side remark, reason gone bad because it's not reasonable at all to be worried. The whole world is worried. That's not reasonable. To intuition. Yeah.
It was 1949 at Marymount. I just looked that up. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, I had a connection with that because that year I was 5 years old, and my mother, after gas rationing was over, decided to go back to Quaker silent meeting. There was a number of towns over, and I assume it was during that period, but all I know is as a 5-year-old, I'd go to Sunday school and then to the meeting, and I never heard anything. And my brother in my 30s told me, oh, there were people who would read a prayer or read from the Bible or sing some. I just tuned into the silence. So I count that as my first connection with Baba, although I didn't know it.
Well, where was that?
Montclair, New Jersey was the meeting. Montclair.
You lived in Montclair. I lived in North Caldwell, a couple towns up.
Oh, no, I actually lived in Caldwell by Grover Cleveland Park.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, right up the street. My God, you lived there.
Are we making a New Jersey connection?
Yeah.
I think so.
Were you brought up in New Jersey?
I was, yeah.
Me too.
So where were you in New Jersey?
Princeton.
Yeah.
Princeton. I went to
That's
Lawrenceville.
My brother lives in Lawrenceville now.
No, what he teaches?
Actually, yeah,
Oh,
he was teaching in Princeton at the choir college.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when were you born? Bing?
47.
You're 47. When were you born?
I'm a 49er.
Oh.
49. So we probably didn't overlap, but you went to Central. No, you were in North Caldwell, you said.
Yeah, I went to West Essex High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small world, small world.
Well,
Really?
I'm born and raised in California. And
Wish they all could be.
when I was
California
in
girls.
India, this woman that she said she had the career of psychology, and she says, "Oh, you're so Californian. You're so And I says, "Funny you should say that because no one ever has taken me for a Californian, you know."
Where were you in LA?
I was born, I'll tell you what LA is. It was a pueblo, La Ciudad de la Virgen, la Reina de los Ángeles, de Porciúncula. It's the city of the Virgin, Queen of the angels at the gates of heaven. It's not LA. No, no, that has a blessed name.
Yeah, what part?
I was born in the California Hospital on Hope Street, and we lived in East Los Angeles. I'm sure I have because I can say.
Quintessentially LA.
Oh yeah, LA. Yeah, and
yeah.
I have a slight Mexican inflection in my voice.
Yeah.
I can
Que
hear.
bueno.
Anyway,
that's where you and I met, is in LA.
really, at the meeting.
At the bookstore. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you may recall my first trip to India. I was wondering in Narita Village Airport how the heck I'm going to get from Bombay to Meerut. I had no idea, and
What
it was
year?
really actually
What year?
81.
81. Okay.
You were traveling with Tom Pearson.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
Across the lobby, I hear my name being called, and you got to be kidding me. Is this Bob, or what the heck is going on here?
I have
in
to
Narita
say
Village, Japan.
that time we took off. The plane took off for India December 12th. That's Dooney Day. And I went, uh-oh, this is, I just took it. And I tell you, that pilgrimage every day was more like, what?
Right.
My first time, 1976, I was like a child. Everything was great. And, I had a run-in with Padre, but so what? I was like a child. But that second time, oh, Baba, it was like I couldn't wait to get away, but a pilgrimage, and it is interesting that pilgrimage has grim in the middle of it too. And I mean, I would have never thought that, but after I thought, yeah. And I've had 7 pilgrimages, pure grace, to the Holy Land. And it's so amazing because 2 out of 7 were, get me out of here. It's interesting. So a pilgrimage is what it is. Oh, I want to share this line. This is from Mystical Life 4 that's already in print in the Mir Baba journals, but anything that can help me with accepting pain. This says, the wonder, maybe I could show it. Is that visible?
Come back a little bit.
Yeah. Well, closer.
Closer.
Yeah, that's good.
Read it, Charlie.
The wonder is to accept in pain God's order to see in pain him to be real good. And okay.
And that's one of that's a huge reason I thought, Baba says he's straight talking. It's the executive way of expressing. And I thought, I need to hear it straight because I'm not good in pain, whether it's physical or psychological, I'm not good. So I just need to hear and not, I'm raised Catholic where, there was a pain element, but it was never kind of explained or,
There was a little pain during the blue bus.
That's true. They were all squeezed together, multiple personalities, not, I wouldn't say weak personalities.
Right.
Even the weak personality was assertive, it was like when you're squeezed together, like getting toothpaste out of a tube, you just have to get it all out.
So we must all had our coffee today here. Anybody else have?
I had chaga. I had
Oh,
chaga. But
I was gonna,
this month is
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna say something. As you were reading, I kept on remembering early times of coming to the center and the feeling that I would have from Mayor Baba's vibration.
Mm.
And I was just thinking that that was kind of a link to this subject matter.
I love that, Michelle. I mean, that is the experience of the center. It is what people experience coming from so many different backgrounds. But as a caretaker, no one doesn't connect with that experience, however they connect with it, but it's so clear.
Mm.
Thanks for sharing that.
Maybe also that's the gift that we have from Mayor Baba, is knowing that pure quality of love in him. That is, I mean, I've had some very wonderful experiences in different settings that weren't Baba settings, like churches and stuff like that. And so that's good too, to know that I've had that experience of the divine elsewhere. That helps me to feel close to many different people. But there is something unique, I guess, when it's folded into the physical aspect, of the avatar, in the way that we've been able to experience it. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Norina's constantly talking about that, isn't she? Or this is Baba's constantly talking about that, the personal and the impersonal, the subjective and the all that. But as that was going through, yeah, I was thinking like we've had this starter experience that helps us to key in.
Mm.
I remember in Darwin Shaw that Effort and Grace talking about how important the avatar is, that I wish I had it in the line, but it's like almost more important that he comes into human body. It's just, I think because he does come into human body to show us how a body could be and act, and but it's like it's phenomenal. Like I'm raised Catholic, and it was like more intellectual in a sense that Jesus was the Son of God. It's the Son of God, or Muhammad was the prophet. You know what I mean? Baba like out. I am God in human form.
Yeah, and I love that he says, I'm just an ordinary human being.
Oh yeah.
Don't make me into, I'm just an ordinary.
But I'm a selfless human being.
Yeah,
but I have experienced the personal side of God in different forms of the avatar.
Oh, sure.
But there's something about Meher Baba that maybe if you look at it like he was this one, he was that one, he was all these different forms, and so now it's like he's the sum total of all that wrapped up into one. One time there was a man on the beach in Sarasota where young ones used to go at sunset and just share positive energy. And this guy came along and he was just really upset. So I pulled him away, and I said something strong, not mean, but to catch his attention. And then he followed me, and I knew he would. And then I said all the 7 names of the avatar. And when he finally reached me, because I walked very fast, when he finally reached me, he was like 50% of his angst was gone. And then something led me just to say Mayor Baba's name. And it was like he was a baby falling asleep, nursing in his mother's arms. It just like, yeah, it was, so it was quite interesting. Yeah. But yeah, it's a crazy time that we're in. We're so lucky to have this. I feel we're very spoiled in a way. Yeah. But I think it's important to to reach out to everybody, and I try to do that when I was in Miami and other places I've been in the world. I try to reach out to people and basically find the divine wherever I am, in whatever context it's in and all that. And I think that's important, because that kind of keeps your ego in place, in terms of yeah.
And we find that a lot. Do others do that? I mean, it seems like, you just can't hide the fact that you have this connection with Baba. People react to it just in the general public. It's more fertile place actually to find Baba in some ways.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I use that insight that we've been given to come closer to people in whatever context they're familiar with and comfortable with,
Yeah.
So, and I've had some wonderful experiences with the avatar in that particular context, So, yeah, and I also Scott McKay. The 2 weeks ago, he was talking about what experience, share some experiences that you've had from this interaction, from what's being read now and what's being shared now. Do you remember? And I basically feel that I try to use this to enhance I guess one, as I said before, my ability to reach out to other people. Yeah.
But it's like that. It's really, we just are who we are. Our sanskars take us wherever we go, and by surrendering them to Baba, I mean, you never know what direction things are going to take. But when we do find him in every situation, it all seems to work out better than we can ever imagine.
Yeah.
And for the best for all concerned, as Hafez says.
So one thing I have found, though, is that there are things that people know in this time that aren't direct from Meher Baba, but run parallel to a lot of what Meher Baba says. So when he says, I'm going to do what I'm going to do with or without you, I see that happening, you know. But once again, we're fortunate to have this this intimate contact.
Very, very fortunate.
But because I've had really high experiences in different settings, that kind of keeps me honest in terms of God being everywhere and all that, keeps it in balance. Like if you're not seeing that, I think you're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, with the Pope Leo being Augustinian, learning a little bit more about Augustine, which I knew very little other than his autobiography, which I'm not a good reader, but I did scan. In any case, part of it is that that recently appealed to me as he viewed the search for something more of our essence as the most exciting adventure and interesting focus that one could experience. Just the mere aspiration and pursuit. It's like getting a degree, an education in some whatever field. It's a growth. It's a positive energy, and that is sort of more the ultimate. And I like the notion of that how does this become viral? It's because it's just simply more compelling, more interesting, more meaningful, more fulfilling. That's a pretty good attraction.
Yeah.
This last paragraph reminded me of Alan Watts' limerick that he said,
great.
that he made up himself. And I heard it like years ago, but it still sticks in my head. He said, there was a man that said, though I think that I know, but what I would like to see is the eye that sees me when I know that I know that I know.
That's good.
Alan is such a trip and an interesting example of someone who really has some insight and is just a character.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot. Thanks. I got to be somewhere.
Thank you, Charlie.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Baba. So next week we'll continue and go through the
It's
mystical.
Silence Day next week.
You're going to do that on Silence Day?
Oh no, I guess we won't do that on Silence Day. That's right. Silence Day is Thursday. That's right, Wednesday.
You can just put it up on the screen, and you can take the little arrow through the words, and everybody reads it together.
The impersonal.
Oh, Baba.
It would get very intellectual.
Or record it. Play a recording of the past.
Uh,
Anyway,
Well, Scott took off. You might take off too, right?
yeah,
we'll
Is
take
he
those-
back next week?
We're doing on Wednesday. We're doing a chop of Baba's name in the barn throughout the day, starting at 9 o'clock. So that'll be nice.
Jeez.
yeah. Yeah, and Jonathan, if you could send me a link to Scott's
Yeah, I'll do that.
yeah, I'm curious, interesting.
Yeah, it'll be
All right,
at 7. Yeah, take care.
Yeah, I
And,
gotta run get a
Bob-
haircut.
Okay, and when you get the link, I'll include Scott's email and just ask him to be put on the list because he also has a Saturday morning, the third Saturday of every month. That's
Oh.
also on an individual link.
Oh,
And
great.
he sends out a link and what's going to be on each. Okay, take care.
Okay, Baba.
Okay,
Thank you.
Baba.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Baba.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Baba. Dime,
Okay,
Baba.